sure that we pay all that money in the next 2 years.
President William Ruto calls for an appropriate legal framework to improve retirement prospects of workers.
I, Jafet Komen Chabere, ambia wakora, uko kule kwa estate, unasumbua wananchi kwa kudunga au visu. It will not happen under my watch.
Japheth Koome undertakes to deal ruthlessly with crime as he is sworn in as Inspector General of Police. And stakeholders say competence-based curriculum ought to be funded adequately if it is to succeed. Welcome to KBC Channel 1. This is Easy Friday. Our sign language interpreter is Susan Thuku. Now, the top story tonight. President William Ruto says appropriate legal framework should be put in place to improve the retirement prospects and well-being of millions of workers.
Well, he says the current contribution to the National Social Security Fund, that's the NSSF, of 200 shillings monthly cannot generate decent retirement earnings, hence the need to enhance the retirement savings by people engaged in gainful employment.
According to the Association of Pension Trustees and Administrators of Kenya, APTAC, Kenya has only 21% pension coverage, with 2/3 of the 3.7 million contributors being from the National Social Security Fund, NSSF, and 1/3 from occupational schemes.
We are very cognizant that pension funds across the world are actually the real key partners of the governments of those countries in terms of providing infrastructure and such like the housing.
President Ruto agrees and is keen on amendment of the legal framework to increase monthly contributions to improve the well-being of millions of retirees.
I'm acutely aware that we must also provide opportunities for you as people who work with us in making sure that we grow our savings. We must give you alternative products that you can buy into for your long-term assets.
He is rooting for exploration of areas of partnerships that will benefit both the pensions industry and the public sector, especially in building roads and affordable housing in order to avoid foreign debt.
As we work on reducing debt and borrowing and raising revenues so that we can fund our development and reduce government borrowing, we will give more space for borrowing by business, by entrepreneurs, by the private sector, so that they too can fire the engines of our growth.
We have agreed with these people, and you have given us tremendous support, that we don't have a problem of opportunities. Opportunities are there, and we have shared opportunities to partner with APTAC and with the financial industry, the pension funds, SACCOs, insurance companies, Islamic finance institutions.
President Ruto said that his administration was interested in striking a formula for making available affordable financing in sufficient amounts to fund development projects on a transformative scale, while at the same time creating attractive investment.
We want to make sure that we help Kenyans from being conned in looking for plots left, right, and center. We also want to assist you in our housing program. And we will make affordable houses ready for you to either sell to your members or invest in for those who want mortgages on long term.
Currently, the savings to GDP ratio is below 20%, even as the government seeks ways of enhancing savings. Alan Oko, Easy Friday.
All right, now the newly sworn-in Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome, says police will deal with criminal gangs that seem to be having a field day across the country. Speaking after being sworn into office early today, Koome said police officers will not hesitate to use firearms to protect law-abiding citizens.
The Supreme Court on Friday morning played host to the swearing-in of Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome.
I, Japhet Komen Chebere, having been appointed the Inspector General of Police.
Kome vowing to deal decisively with criminals, justifying instances where police officers will not hesitate to use firearms to protect lives of Kenyans.
Tunaambia wakora, uko kule kwa estate, unasumbua wananchi kwa kudunga hao visu, kupiga watu risasi. It will not happen under my watch. When any police officer, his life is in danger, or any other person, the life is in danger, a police officer is justified to use a fire.
He disclosed that he will also be going for the faces behind the cattle rustling gangs that have been funding the vice, pledging to work with Parliament.
Wale kule wanaiba ng'ombe, actually it is livestock rustling. It is not cattle rustling. A lot of property destroyed, wananchi wanakufa, maofisa wanakufa. Our strategy now is to target the loans. We are calling them livestock loans. And we shall engage Parliament so that such people, they are dealt with for committing a terrorist acts.
The former Kiganjo Police Training College commandant also cautioned his officers to follow the National Police Service Act, promising Kenyans a transformed police service.
Yale mali umetafuta kwa bidii, tutachunga hiyo mali.
Chief Justice Martha Koome, who presided over the swearing-in ceremony, rallied the new police boss to lead the police service in participating robustly in initiatives geared towards reforms in the criminal justice sector.
All of us, we are actors in the justice sector, have embraced this principle of cooperation and collaboration to ensure efficiency in the criminal justice sector.
The National Police Service Commission Chairman Eliud Kinuthia, who was in attendance, vowed for the improvement of police warfare, including education.
I want to assure you, Inspector General, your welfare first and that of officers will be our first priority at the Commission.
Koome takes over from former IG Hilary Mutyambai, who resigned in September on health grounds.
With the swearing-in of the new Inspector General of Police, Engineer Japhet Komen Chebere, his work is clearly cut out if the recent wave of crime in the country is anything to go by. With sweeping powers and financial autonomy granted by President William Ruto, the men and women in blue have a huge task as Kenyans will be watching for better services and security. Reporting for Easy Friday from the Supreme Court of Kenya, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Now, education stakeholders are warning that the competency-based curriculum will not meet its objectives if the government will not fully fund and adequately equip schools to implement the new system. Those who presented their views at the close of the Presidential Education Reforms Task Force public hearings said the system is too expensive and parents cannot afford it. The task force will present its report in the next 2 weeks.
The Presidential Education Reforms Task Force, formed to evaluate the viability of the competency-based curriculum, concluded its public engagement forum on Friday in Nairobi. Stakeholders who attended the last meeting held at the University of Nairobi warned that the system was too expensive for the country and it will require that the government fully equips learning institutions besides funding them to meet the demands of the new education system.
It's one of the best curriculum, but how it was made, it was not all inclusive. The parents were left out in the process, in the entire process. So that's why you see most of the parents are not really very happy about the system.
When it is in primary school, than putting classrooms in already crowded secondary school.
Because if as a teacher, you are not given the opportunity to make the choice of book one to use. You are being forced to use a particular book just because the government has seen it wise to do so. And these are the people who, the teachers, are the people who should make those choices.
Many lament that the system has placed a lot of emphasis on parental guidance and would be disastrous since many parents are unavailable or struggling to meet basic needs.
We don't have an engineer from this community. We don't have an engineer from... You think that they are daft. It's not true. It is because we have not invested in that community as well. So we must do that. That we must make a commitment as a people. Kenya government, ourselves, it is our tax. It's us who have elected them. We must provide money for CBC resourcing in every part of the country.
At the end of it all, what we want is a better program for our children. I am particularly keen to make sure that Limuru becomes a center of excellence in terms of education. We don't talk much about what we create ourselves.
The chairperson of the task force, Professor Raphael Munavu, says the team will present its report to the appointing authority in the next 2 weeks after collecting all the views gathered across the 47 counties. Munavu promised that his team will interrogate all views and submit recommendations that will better the education sector in the country.
And it's only after that we will make some recommendations on the way forward. Okay? Our constitution is very clear that public participation is essential because all of us have a different opinion. What this working force is going to do is listen to everybody. We analyze it, and then we say the general consensus is this, and that's what we are going to recommend.
The finding is expected to inform the next course of implementation of the competency-based curriculum.
We are going to consider all of them by early next week so that we can come up with full recommendations, at least on the issues that the public has raised.
All right, now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has issued a stern warning against exam cheating, saying culprits will be apprehended. Speaking after launching the Kenya National Examination Season 2022 at the new Mitihani House here in Nairobi, the Deputy President at the same time called on Kenyans to be vigilant and not be hoodwinked into engaging in any examination malpractices. National examinations will kick off on the 28th of this month. That will be ending on the 23rd of December this year.
The Kenya National Examinations Council officially launched the 2022 examination period. It is during the launch that the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua read the Riot Act to those who will be found engaging in exam malpractice.
While we are banking on quality education to transform our country, some criminal elements have in the past infiltrated systems with the aim of leaking examinations. We want an equal playing ground for every child to score what they deserve and join their preferred secondary schools and tertiary institutions competitively. We urge vigilance and responsibility. Culprits, I must tell you, will be dealt with firmly and decisively.
Sentiments echoed by the Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu.
We went through the procedure and the system and mechanism that is supposed to be undertaken to ensure that this year's exam is credible and that it undergoes all the processes of integrity, because we want to make sure Your Excellency 100% that we will be able to deliver a credible exam to the Kenyans.
TSC and all the teachers are prepared as we go towards this very noble exercise. And as teachers of Kenya, we want to assure you that we will deliver examinations that will have no cheating.
Rigathi said the Office of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations will closely monitor cybercrimes and deal decisively with the culprits.
No Kenyans like being conned. People put things on the internet, on WhatsApp, that they can leak exams for you. Which ones? And then you pay money, and then you start crying you have been conned. If you are conned, it's up to you.
Said the government will distribute relief food to schools to ensure no candidate fails to sit for their exams due to hunger. The DP tasked the Ministry of Education to ensure the sub-county directors are offered facilities to help them execute their mandate.
Waziri, we need to back them with facilities. for them to be able to have meaningful supervision and provide leadership to the rest of the actors in that particular sub-county.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
There are days when you think, oh, leo na deserve, so order a Glovo. Days when plans inachelewa, what if you order a Glovo? Or days when you can't control everything. Or yes, because on Glovo you can order anything you want. Glovo, you order, we get it.
Kupata maisha kama skiza tune yako, bonyeza star 811 star 816 hash.
Maisha ni mafupi, hivyo si vyema kumaliza muda mwingi katika malumbano. Hesabu baraka zako, wathamini rafiki zako na tabasamu ili udumishe amani.
Kupata maisha, bonyeza star 811 star 816 hash. Star 811 star 816 hash.
Welcome back. Now, the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal has temporarily stopped the Registrar of Political Parties from implementing the 2022-2023 political parties funding formula. Now, this is after the United Democratic Alliance Party moved to the tribunal to challenge the Gazette notice on grounds that the Registrar of Political Parties failed to disclose how it calculated the amount it allocated to the benefiting political parties.
The Political Parties Dispute Tribunal has temporarily stopped the distribution of 1.48 billion shillings political parties fund to the qualifying political parties. This is after the UDA party moved to the court, questioning the criteria used in allocating the funds. Through lawyer Adrian Kamotho, the UDA party claims that the Registrar of Political Parties miscalculated the total number of votes garnered by qualifying parties in the general election held on 9th August 2022. The UDA party claims that it has been unlawfully deprived of funds in excess of 115 million shillings that it's rightfully entitled to, hence jeopardizing its activities and operations after RPP failed to factor in the unopposed votes for Woman Rep in Kericho and Ravine MCA seat in Baringo County. Elsewhere, Democratic Action Party of Kenya has lauded the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission for clearing Wafula Wamunyini for the Bungoma senatorial seat by-election to be held next month. Speaking after being cleared, Wamunyini said he was the best candidate fit for the oversight role since he understands the law, having served in Parliament for 4 terms.
My experience as the most experienced among all the candidates, one that has been around, have spoken for the people, have record for speaking for the people. I have a record for having steered this constituency for 4 terms, 20 years as a member of parliament.
Former Devolution CS Eugene Wamalwa, who was present, said that the party was ready for any contest.
Hakuna yule aliye na ukomavu na aliye na ukakamavu wa kutekeleza majukumu ya seneta wa jimbo hili kuliko mheshimiwa Wamunyini.
All right, now the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, that's the EACC, has secured orders from the High Court compelling former Tourism Permanent Secretary Rebecca Nabutola and others to pay the government 8.9 million shillings, being proceeds of crime. The funds were embezzled by Kenya Tourism Board officials through irregular procurement of services to organize a permanent secretary's trip to Masai Mara's Tourism Award Conference and a meeting of the Minister for Tourism with media executives at a total cost of 8.9 shillings when Nabutola was the permanent secretary.
Former Tourism PS Rebecca Nabutola is not off the hook yet. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission have got orders seeking to recover 8.9 million shillings. Together with 2 others, they were charged in 2009 for fraud and abuse of office. Investigations revealed that the tender award to organize the permanent secretary's trip was done exclusively by Rebecca Nabutola, then PS for Tourism, Dr. Ongonga Achieng, CEO of Catering and Tourism Development Levy Trust, and Duncan Murioki, Director of Maniago Safaris, without involvement of KTB, its tender committees, or the Ministry of Tourism. The High Court's Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Division entered a judgment in favor of EACC, ordering the defendants to jointly and severally pay the government the money together with cost and interest at court rates. For Easy Friday, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Now, catching flights to different destinations is the ideal mode of travel for the majority of cyber surfers. But while the majority of the savage netizens dream of vacationing in the greatest historical, scenic destinations, high travel fees continue to impede the desire despite government's efforts to try and ease travel restrictions. Take a look.
Apparently, every new travel rules passed is bound to catch the attention of the explorers. So let's find out what transpired this week concerning the matter. All hail the government for its efforts to give us a chance to live a soft life by eliminating visas to South Africa for 90 days. But no, for the savage netizens, this is not nearly enough. The little soft lifers want the entire continent to be visa-free and for them to be handed fully paid expense trips. I mean, is that too much to ask for? I know. The audacity, right? You would think President Cyril Ramaphosa officiating the agreement would make netizens joyous, but no, that was not quite the case. Uncolonized Mind tweeted, "Ile vita iko huko, nisisikie Mkenya ameenda." Wanjohi, visa free, but extended to at least 1 year with multiple entries. Wanjiku, can he do the same with Canada? Hey, Santos for you, those planes will be full going to SA but empty flying back.
You know what you are? EP, aka enemy of progress.
Alangash tagging this photo of a man leaving his girlfriend. Nimeenda South Africa for 90 days. Easy tweeted, "Me after my 90 days are over in South Africa." But while efforts are being made to ease entry into different countries, the pilot strike had put a damper on the idea. The strike by the pilots affected many travelers and sparked fiery conversations on the social media realm, with netizens asking each other if the strike personally affected them. Mr. Wright started a conversation by asking, "Is the current Kenyan Airways pilot strike affecting you ama niachane na maisha yako?" Hey, to which he received several comments. Absolute Mind, "Tusikwe personal tafadhali," wa laughing emoji. Jeff tweeted, "Nduthi wakienda on strike ndo mtatusikia." Kamama, "Some people can't relate." Wanjiku, matatu zikienda strike, we are doomed. Alinur insisting on the matter. You mean none of your friends are affected by the Kenya Airways pilot strike and the cancellation of KQ flights? Or all your friends use donkeys as means of transport? Wangui responded, lakini huyu msee anaongea aje? Wesley, acha kushout.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
Trace wrote, the Kenya Airways strike has really affected my business. Mad KOT responded, Jaba huwa haibebwi kutoka Meru na ndege mzee. Wa? Safe to say, you don't want to rile up the netizens.
Remember, the Lord is watching you.
Well, that's it for us. Catch you next week on Savage Netizens. For Easy Friday, I am Teresa Mutai.
The ever savage netizens comes your way every Friday. All right, now the government will establish fish processing units in major beaches along Lake Victoria Basin to bolster the region's economic viability. This follows the cabinet approval of the over 1 billion shillings Fisheries and Aquaculture Service and Training Center to be established in Kisumu. Weekly for Catch has more details.
Amid the ravaging impact of drought in the country, government is stepping up its short-term mitigation efforts by distributing relief food to those that are hard hit. Today, the ICT and Blue Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo flagged off relief food to be distributed to the needy families in Migori, Homa Bay and Kisumu counties.
This is part of a wider government program to facilitate provision of basic subsistence to families who are wanting during this time of drought. It is a short-term measure. Long-term, the government has got a tangible agenda for purposes of food security that would involve massive irrigation programs in all parts that don't usually get adequate rain.
Owalo used the platforms to reiterate the government's elaborate agenda to bolster the region's economic viability by, among other things, fast-tracking the construction of the Lake Basin Ring Road to ease movement of goods.
We also signed specific county-based economic charters. Here in Migori, we are interested in ensuring that there is optimal utilization of the fishing industry so that we extract fish from the lake. We are interested in revitalizing the sugar sector so that slowly can operate at optimal capacity levels. We are interested in ensuring that the mining sector, specifically at Magalda, there is an enabling policy framework that ensures that whatever revenue comes from mining is plowed back to the people.
Already, the cabinet has approved the construction of the Kabonyo Fisheries and Aquaculture Service and Training Center at a cost of 1 billion shillings to facilitate training, research and innovation on the best fishing practices.
It is actually painful that fish is extracted from the lake, processed elsewhere and then exported at colossal sums of money. We are going to reverse that and we will ensure that in all the beaches, whether it is Rusinga, whether it is Mihur, or it is at Usenge in Siaya, or Luanda Kutieno in Rarieda, we are going to establish fish processing plants with proper refrigeration facilities along all those beaches.
And we agree with that model ya kwamba processing ya samaki lazima ifanyike hapa badala ya kutoa samaki hapa zikienda kukua process sehemu zingine na zinakuliwa sehemu zingine.
Leaders from the region urged the government to harness the lake's waters for irrigation purposes and also solve the adversities facing the fisher folk comprehensively. For Easy Friday, I am Wycliffe Okage.
Moving on, residents of Kilifi County have expressed their gratitude to Kenya Broadcasting Corporation for reducing the financial burden of accessing the FIFA World Cup matches that are set to kick off on the 20th of this month in Qatar. The residents expressed optimism that African teams will make it to the last 8 in this year's edition of the FIFA World Cup. They, however, said the teams need more exposure if they are to lift the coveted trophy. Our reporter Junaid Karisa took us through the second day in the KBC World Cup Tour caravan at the coast as the corporation readies to air the global showpiece.
The Kenya Broadcasting Corporation's World Cup caravan made its way to Kilifi County as it prides itself as the only broadcaster to air the 2022 FIFA World Cup games in Qatar. The residents did not shy off to show off their talent and fanatism of the football games as familiar faces from local FM stations rewarded them with goodies. The fanatics are almost certain that the African teams, despite their prowess, will not make it to the finals.
Yes, I hope we can reach even the finals. So the bad news is that Sadio Mane has an injury, but we hope he's going to heal faster, and we hope for the best this time round also.
Because tukukumbuka kama Didier Drogba zile World Cup zilizopita vile alikuwa akifanya, naona Afrika itafika mahali pia.
They further applauded the corporation for bringing the games right in their homes, resounding the clarion call to Kenyans that World Cup iko KBC.
Wengi tumezoea kwenda mabandani, kwenda kuangalia mpira. Sasa utaangalia kama game moja walipa 40, 50 na kwa siku game ni kama 5 hivi. Sasa at least utaangalia mpira bure kama uko na hiyo channel yako ya KBC na utaenjoy.
Mimi fan kubwa sana wa Portugal, naamini kwa World Cup tutaibeba.
Nimesikia raha kusikia KBC inatupatia channel ya bure kuangalia World Cup.
Mimi nashukuru KBC kwa kutuletea free World Cup kuona bure.
I hope Brazil will reach a final this time round. Last World Cup 2018 we did not qualify, we did not reach the final, but we hope for the best this time round.
Juni Karisambele from Kilifi County.
All right, now let's focus on My Culture, another feature that comes your way every Friday. Now, the Luo community is rich in tradition and cultural practices in every aspect of their day-to-day life. Welcoming new members into the community and the world is part of it. This week on My Culture, we focus on Ogole, which is a ritual among a section of the Luo community meant to dedicate a newborn baby to the church, the community, and the world as well.
At the heart of Ruiru, Kiambu County, a section of the faithful from St. Raphael Roho Church converged to perform a ritual. A majority of the members from the church hail from the Luo community. It is a paramount day for the family as one of their own is welcomed into the society. It has been 66 days of remaining indoors for the mother and the infant, except for the few days of taking the baby to the clinic.
Ya kutolea mtoto, lazima mtoto turushe juu ili wazazi wafurahie. Hata sisi pia kanisa majirani nayo wafurahie kwa yale ambayo tunafanya. Na hiyo ndio sheria ya dhehebu zetu.
Mama anaweza beba mimba miezi 6 akiwa na hiyo uchungu. Sasa inakuanga sherehe ya kumrudishia shukrani vile amekuwa na hiyo mzigo hadi akazaa. Tena hiyo sherehe inafanya mtoto anakuwa akijua maneno ya Mungu. Akikuwa mkubwa anaendelea kukua anajua maneno ya Mungu.
Anafanya hivyo ili aweze kutoka kwa ile mambo ya damu, na hajaruhusiwa kuguza vitu kama vitu za kanisa, iwe Biblia, iwe manguo zake za kanisa, kwa sababu inasemanga saa zile mama anaona damu, hizo vitu hazikwangi vitu safi, bali zinakuanga vitu chafu.
These are the number of days since Sharon Acheng and her family welcomed the latest addition to their family.
Lazima tupeleke mtoto kwa kanisa kama siku ya leo. Hiyo siku ni siku takatifu, na tukileta mtoto kwa kanisa tunaambiwa tunapeleka dove ama tunapeleka kondoo, mwana kondoo, ili ichinjwe ya kusafisha mtoto. Mtoto anawekwa, inafanya mtoto anakaa mwaminifu kwa Mungu. Akikuwa mkubwa anakuwa mkubwa akijua maneno ya Mungu.
However, the days vary with the gender of the newborn, A baby girl ought to stay indoors for 60 days while a boy 33 days. According to the community members, this is the waiting period for the mother's blood to cleanse, as she cannot enter the church before she is clean.
Lazima akae kwa nyumba kulingana vile amekaa na hiyo uchungu yote, inafaa kwa nyumba kwa hizo siku zote. Haezi enda kwa church juu bado amefungwa. Mtoto akizaliwa inafaa ifungwe kwa nyumba. Kama ni kijana, mama atakaa kwa nyumba kwa siku 33. Kama ni msichana, mama anakaa kwa nyumba kwa siku 66.
The lapsing of that period ushers in Ogole, which is the process of dedicating the newborn to the church and community. This process includes a visit to the parents' home where prayers are held for both the parents and the infant. Once the prayers are held, the parents are forbidden from sleeping together until the child is officially welcomed to the world by society. It is believed that if the rule is not adhered to, it may lead to the death of the child.
Sikule mtoto amefungwa, wazazi pia wamefungwa siku hiyo, kwa sababu mtoto akifungwa lazima, wakati tunaenda kuwasomea hiyo Biblia, katika hiyo Biblia kuna hiyo msemo inawaambia vile inastahili wajilinde. Kwa hivyo wanajilinda. Kama ni uwezo, baba kwe na kitanda yake, mama kwe na kitanda yake na mtoto yake. Na sasa siku ya leo, si tumefungua mtoto, sasa leo wanaenda kulala pamoja, lakini si sheria juu wakilala pamoja na mtoto ilifungwa, wanaua huyo mtoto.
Lazima pia wajilinde. Baba lazima ajilinde, mama ajilinde. Ukitembea huko nje, kama wewe ni mtu wa kupiga kando kando, haistahili urudi kwa nyumba uguze nayo mtoto. Na ukiguza wale watu wameweka huyu mtoto, watajua kwamba kuna pali ulipitia sio mzuri. Ukifanya hivyo, wale ambayo wamefunga mtoto ama wameweka mtoto, wale walifanya hiyo maombi, wanaonyeshwa, wanaambiwa kuna kitu haiendelee vizuri. Na vile vile ukifanya hivyo, unaletea mtoto anaweza gonjeka.
No one is allowed to hold the child after the prayers. Only the father and mother are allowed to hold the baby, as it is believed if anyone else hold the baby, he or she would fall sick.
Wale wanastahili kukuja kuona mtoto ni daktari ama ni mother ambaye ni mother mkuu wa kanisa, ambaye kazi yake ni kuangalia watoto na pia vile vile kuwatayarishia dawa ya kukunywa. Huyu pamoja na mhubiri ndio wameruhusiwa kukuja kuangalia mtoto, kuona vile mtoto anaenda, na pia kuweza kuhimiza wazazi kwa njia ya kuweka mtoto akue aishi akiwa mwaminifu.
Song, dance, elation and jubilation follow once Baby Mary Savior is brought outside the house, ideally for the first time. A procession to the church then follows. On the way to the church, members interchangeably toss Baby Mary up in the air or simply hold her head high for all to see. Surprisingly, the baby is calm, unbothered, never crying, just peaceful.
Wakati ambapo mtoto amewekwa kule kwa nyumba, kuna wale ambao wanaenda kumuombea, kuna wale ambao wanaenda kumkipa mama na baba busy. Wakati ambapo tunatoa mtoto nje, lazima tumuombee mtoto. Ndiposa tukitoa mtoto hana uoga. Kile ambacho imejaza mtoto Roho Mtakatifu. Hata mkiruhusa mfanye nini, mtoto hawezi kulia wala piga kelele.
Maezi stuka juu hiyo inakuwa sherehe, hata yeye anakuwa na furaha. Mtoto wake ataendelea kukua akijua Mungu.
Huyu mtoto ali na huyu mtoto ashtuki kwa sababu saa zile anafanyiwa maombi. Kuna maombi tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu aweze kulinda mtoto, amuondolee uoga, amuondolee magonjwa. So huyu mtoto saa zile tumemuomba na tukifuata hizi sheria, huyu mtoto anabaki kuwa takatifu.
Some of the congregants stop on the way to pray for the child. When they arrive at the church, they remove their shoes before entering the church where a service is held. And that is the Ogole ceremony of how a section of the Luo community welcomes new members into the community and the world.
November like never before. Mouth-watering programs. Maza takes a break and in comes football extravaganza. And a bouquet of the best of movies from the Orient lined up for you. Oh yes, November 2022 is like never before. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Now, in business, coffee earnings are likely to reduce in coming weeks, weighed down by increased supplies from Brazil. Nairobi Coffee Exchange CEO Daniel Mbithi says Brazil is expected to have a bumper coffee harvest due to good rains that could affect prices in the international market. He's calling for increased consumption of coffee locally to cushion farmers.
Coffee prices continue to plummet in the international market as production in Brazil picks up. Coffee farmers' earnings have decreased 30% in the past 2 months as buyers anticipate flooding of the beans in the international market.
Because they contribute almost like 60% of the total production in the world. The moment they have more coffees being released to the market, that suppresses actually prices.
Farmers have been encouraged to grow high-quality varieties and increase output to adequately compete with cherry from Brazil.
What I would advise the Kenyan farmers is to continue to, try to improve on our quality to the extent that we will make the world not to miss, of course, the quality that is known with the Kenyan coffee.
I think where we can buffer against those changes is not only to continue producing quality, but become more efficient at producing it, so producing more volume.
Food retail outlets have been encouraged to increase local coffee stocking and come up with cheaper coffee products to give local farmers an alternative market.
I think coffee is always, in Kenya, I feel it's an expensive thing that would be for people with a bit more disposable income. And tea is for everyone.
COVID was one of the things that triggered. In the event that you're not able to sell in the export market, how can you then still tap into the local market?
Coffee value chain players are calling for increased value addition to grow income and job opportunities.
We are then working with the producers as they are selling to some of the local manufacturers, then they can also start processing and building their own brands for local consumption.
Coffee consumption in Kenya is only at 5% of the total coffee produced, with the rest exported. Benson Rioba reporting for Easy Friday.
Now, access to formal financial services is highest in Nairobi, Nyeri, Murang'a, Kirinyaga and Kiambu, and lowest in the counties of West Pokot, Turkana and Garissa due to gender disparities. Now, this is according to the FinAccess Household Survey for counties that indicates that gaps in access to formal financial services between women and men are highest in Kilifi, Narok, Turkana and Kwale, where gender-specific products are required to bridge the gap.
The FinAccess Household Survey County Perspective Report shows that those in Nairobi County have the highest access to formal financial services and products at 95%, while West Pokot County has the lowest access at 57.7%. The report indicates that in some counties, a significant number of women rely on informal financial products and services or are excluded altogether.
The time we start some good products that will address the pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid, but what happens is that the product leaves the bottom of the pyramid and move on to the next level. It's very important to move on, but what the intention should be is that people are the ones who should move from the bottom of the pyramid upwards, but the product that was supposed to be an intervention to correct market failure programs or support should remain in that location.
Garissa and West Pokot are among the 10 counties with the highest access to informal financial services, such as chamas, with 11.6% of the population relying on friends and social network to access financial products. Overall, usage of informal groups like chamas is high in Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Siaya, Busia and Makueni, perhaps reflecting the agricultural richness and high presence of small businesses.
We do believe that with the counties will help us in terms of understanding that and even how we are going to deal with the manifesto of the Kenya Council government in terms of how we can finance micro, small and medium enterprises, and how we can promote sustainable finance through green finance, addressing financial consumer protection issues, among others.
Agricultural endowed counties and urban areas have wider choices of financial service providers and products compared to those in arid and semi-arid areas, which largely rely on mobile money, informal groups and NHIF. The counties of Marsabit, Garissa and Samburu recorded the highest level of debt distress, while Nakuru, Busia and Siaya had the highest cases of gambling, above the national average of 11%. Warimu Jenga for Easy Friday.
Now, the Indian Ocean has been removed from the list of high-risk areas in a major boost for trade for Kenya and the wider Eastern African region. Following the announcement, international traders are projected to save billions of shillings in insurance fees, ultimately lowering the price of goods in Kenya. Here are the details of this and other stories in our business roundup. Take a look.
The Indian Ocean was designated as a high-risk area in 2010, near the peak of the attacks on ships near the Horn of Africa. Piracy had dominated the region in 2011, where huge numbers of people were held hostage by pirates. However, business partners in the Indian Ocean can now breathe a sigh of relief after the Best Management Practices, BMP5, removed the region from the list of high-risk areas after piracy and armed robbery incidences had reduced by 22% compared to last year. Meanwhile, aspiring homeowners are turning to house item curators to ease the process of constructing and furnishing their homes. Ruby Granite and Interiors founder Esther Kamau says the frustration of blindly diving into building a home is harrowing to many Kenyans looking into home ownership and are susceptible to buying unnecessary items or losing money to fraudsters.
We decided to come up with a company that will have unique house finishing items under one roof so that we help solve the problems we went through for other homeowners.
Finally, Vivo Energy has partnered with CMC Motors to provide aftercare services for motorcycles and prioritize riders at service centers to reduce on the downtime. Under the partnership, a new line of 500 co-branded motorcycles and joint mechanics training and service clinics are set to be rolled out.
We want our customers to be able to access this product and access the expertise around the Hero motorbike in more locations across Kenya. And this partnership helps us do that.
Reporting for Easy Friday, my name is Nduta Mokami.
What up? My name is DJ Piera McKenna. Listen, KBC Channel 1 is the only channel that is showing World Cup exclusively. Yeah, keep watching it. Have a good time.
A very good evening to you. Let's now talk sports. My name is Karen Kibet. USA became the first nation to land in Qatar ahead of the much-awaited FIFA World Cup. The United States will be making a return after 8 years and will face Iran in its opener on November 29th. The FIFA World Cup finals will be broadcasted live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 and all KBC's radio stations beginning on the 20th of this month, the 18th of December 2020.
Greg Berhalter's team became the first World Cup team to arrive in Qatar 9 days before the tournament starts. The US will make a return after 8 years and will take on Iran in their first match on November 29th. United States has played 11 World Cups. They were that at the first tournament in 1930, beating England 1-0 at the 1950 World Cup and reached the quarterfinals in 2002. Mehdi Torabi's 15 minutes goal assured Iran a 1-0 victory over Nicaragua in a friendly match held in Tehran's Azadi Stadium. Several stars of Team Mali, including Mehdi Toremi, Alireza Jakabash, Sadar Azmoun and Saman Goudos, were absent in this match. Iran will play Tunisia in the last warm-up ahead of the 2022 FIFA World Cup, which will be held in Doha, Qatar. Tunisia is one of the African representatives in the Qatar World Cup and in Group D alongside France, Denmark and Australia. Iran is in Group B of the 2022 World Cup alongside Wales, England and the USA. Meanwhile, Rio Ferdinand has urged Gareth Southgate to drop Manchester United captain Harry Maguire ahead of England's World Cup campaign. The former United defender believes that Southgate has better options to choose from going into the tournament. Ferdinand does not consider Maguire among Southgate's better options at the back. With just one club fixture to go before the England squad heads out of Qatar, Maguire's match fitness is unlikely to see much improvement.
Rio Ferdinand with a dream pass at Sturridge.
Meanwhile, Barcelona's defender Ronaldo Araujo has won his race to be fit for the World Cup, with Uruguay selecting him as part of the 26-man squad. The 23-year-old has not played since suffering a thigh injury in Uruguay's 1-0 friendly defeat to Iran in September. Veterans Luis Suarez and Edison Cavani are also in the list for the finals of the World Cup. The FIFA World Cup finals will be broadcasted live on KBC Channel 1 and all KBC radio stations beginning on the 20th of this month to the 18th of December 2022. World Cup, Iko KBC.
You know what it is.
The best news most Africans had this evening is that Sadio Mane has been included in the Senegal squad. Most of us were scared after he incurred an injury, and we are so happy. We wish Senegal all the best in the 2022 Qatar FIFA World Cup. Moving on, the Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba has called for concerted efforts by sports persons and sporting organizations in the utilization of sports as a key force in combating climate change effects. In a keynote address to the delegates at the United Nations Climate Change Conference of Parties, Namwamba called for action that will propel climate action beyond the historic commitments.
I therefore urge delegates to answer the following questions. First, how can we set ambitious targets and commitments to achieve net zero carbon emissions? Second, how can we promote climate action messages to raise climate awareness and activism among its fan bases? Third, how can we achieve climate reporting and oversight of carbon emissions? And lastly, how can governments develop policies and incentives for sport to become sustainable and promote sport as a tool to raise awareness about climate change? We can harness the potential of sport in addressing climate change. I therefore call on athletics federations from other countries to join Athletics Kenya in championing the cause of climate change to ensure that future generations of athletes also have the chance to break world records in a clean and safe environment. On our part, the government of Kenya shall continue to support and encourage Athletics Kenya and other sports federations to commit and deliver on the climate agenda both in Kenya and globally. I wish you all the best in your engagements as the sporting world looks forward to the outcomes of this important event.
The national men's cricket team head coach Obuya has named 3 debutants in the team that sets to feature in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup Sub-Regional Africa qualifiers scheduled for the 15th to the 24th November in 2020 in Kigali, Rwanda. 3 who are set in line for the maiden national cups are Ruaraka Sports Club's Pushkar Sharma, Shwambipapa Peter Koech and Sikh Union's Sukhdeep Singh. Kenya will face St. Helena, Malawi, Mali, Rwanda, Lesotho, Botswana and Seychelles in the 7-day championship, which will see 2 top-placed teams proceeding to the next round of the qualifiers. Top 2 teams from the tournament will join the winner and the runner-up from Group B qualifiers in the continental qualifiers alongside Uganda, Namibia and Zimbabwe.
I think all round we are good. It's only a few areas where we need to work on towards the death bowling. That's where we've been working on for the last 6-7 days. So also that area is coming up well. So I feel all round we are confident and we are good to go.
With 9 days to go to the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, today in our player profile segment, we focus on Harry Kane. Harry Kane is an English professional footballer who plays as a striker for the Premier League club Tottenham Hotspur and captains the England national team. Kane is regarded as one of the best strikers in the world and is also known for his prolific goal-scoring record and ability to link play. And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. Have yourself a peaceful night. The broadcast is not yet over, as I do hand you back to my colleague, John Kago.
All right, thank you so much, Karen Kibet, for the sporting update. The countdown is on, 9 days and counting. We have about 28 matches on UTV, 64 matches across our radio stations. Hashtag World Cup Eco KBC can trust on us to make sure that you enjoy all those matches. Many thanks indeed for choosing us tonight to bring you up to date. We are crossing over to the other side of the studio. Shiksha Arora has the spotlight. It's a good interview. You need to stick around for a lot of bodybuilding and actually, to use her words, she mentioned that there are more abs on one side of the studio than the entire other side of the studio. You want to find out what that's about? That's in a couple of minutes. Our sign language interpreter has been Susan Thuku. My name is John Kago on behalf of the team. Good night. So long.